I've been stuck driving in an endless highway tunnel for 10 hours. Somehow I found a spot in the tunnel with enough service to, hopefully, get this post out. I'm holding on to this singular bar for dear life. My situation is growing dire. I'm running out of gas, which also means I won't be able to charge my phone. The only food I have is a bag of Sour Patch Kids, a box of Cheez-Its, 2 Red Bulls, and about a half gallon of water. Let me explain what's going on. I'm a traveler. Always have been. I'm used to cross-country road trips. I'm located in the United States, driving for hours through the night, without stopping, except to use the restroom or grab a quick meal. I'm currently making the trek from Los Angeles to Chicago. I've done this trip before, but I took Route 66 that time, for the hell of it. This time, I opted to take the interstates, a shorter ride in a way I haven't taken before. This way cuts through the middle of the country, passing through Colorado and Nebraska and Iowa. The drive was going normal. Lots of nothingness. I'm used to going hours without seeing any other cars or people when I'm driving out here. By the time I'm writing this, I've been driving for close to 3 days. Last night I slept in a Walmart parking lot somewhere in Colorado. I think Frisco? I drove for over 14 hours straight yesterday, only stopping a couple of times at gas stations to grab snacks, take a piss, and refuel. I grabbed dinner at a Taco Bell at like midnight before I crashed. I'm recounting every detail because I'm hoping that, maybe, this whole thing could be explained away by a lack of sleep and nutrition. I know I should be eating and sleeping more, but I just don't think about it when I'm on the road. I don't think about anything. That's why I love these trips so much. Anyways, I woke up this morning at the crack of dawn, like 6 a.m. in Colorado, which is 5 a.m. my time, and continued on my way. I wanted to make good time. Not for any reason. It's not like I had plans. I just wanted to see how quickly I could drive so far. I grabbed breakfast at a local cafe, a bagel and a coffee, filled up on gas, grabbed some Red Bulls, some beef jerky, and a gallon of water. Then I headed out. I don't think I stopped driving until like 6 hours in, when I realized I was going to piss myself from all the energy drinks I chugged. I tend to space out until it's nearly too late. I stopped at the first gas station I saw. 2 measly gas pumps and a run-down old wooden shack for a convenience store. I was somewhere coming up on Kearney, Nebraska, and I had endured another time change, so it was now around 2 p.m. I walked inside and the bell on the door jingled. The man at the cash register jumped, startled by the first sign of life other than his own cigarette-soaked breaths. I asked him if they had a restroom, and he grinned. "There's a bucket out back, princess," he said, stifling a chuckle. I stared at him blankly, waiting for a punchline. He sighed and handed me a tarnished key attached to a piece of wood, which had been roughly etched with "Pisser." He pointed to a door at the far end of the shack. I did my business, though the toilet looked like it hadn't been cleaned since before I was born, and returned the key to the man at the register, who I now noticed had a name tag that read Gus. I turned to leave, but before I could, Gus cleared his throat and asked me, "Where you headed?" I told him Chicago, and he said, "What for?" I told him I didn't really know. "Just to go, I guess." His eyes lingered on me for a moment, almost an uncomfortable amount of time. Then he quickly glanced about the shack before he said, "Well, if you could spare a couple hours, I know of a bitchin' scenic route through the peaks a bit further north." He went on to tell me that this route was only really known to locals, winding through Nebraskan peaks with plenty of lookouts over whatever the hell is in Nebraska. Historically home to booze-filled high school parties, romantic illegal camping rendezvous, and of course, its fair share of local folklore legends. Like the classic, teen lovers murdered during a makeout session, the killer was never caught type shit. It's not like his story really piqued my interest. It's the same shit you hear about every random scenic route and lookout in every random small town. But that's exactly why I chose to embark upon Gus's route. I'm always so curious to explore the places that locals know and adore in all of the random small towns I wind up in along my travels. It makes me realize how connected we really are. No matter where we are in the world, we live out these parallel lives, experiencing emotions and struggles that so many other people also experience, in their own ways. I love finding these spots. I love feeling connected with something. Anything. He gave me crude directions, but it seemed simple enough. Continue up Interstate 80 for an hour or two longer until I see a turnoff, a dirt road to my left. Can't miss it. That'll take me where I need to go, according to Gus. I figured that if I didn't see the turnoff, I'd just take the loss. After our conversation, I decided to purchase some snacks. Sour Patch Kids, Cheez-Its, and 2 more Red Bulls, and a pack of menthol cigarettes. I filled up on gas before leaving. I wasn't sure when the next gas station would be, especially if I found Gus's route, and I continued on my way. I lit a cigarette as I began this next leg of my journey. My mother would kill me for smoking in my car. She'd kill me for a lot of the shit I do when I take these trips. One thing I started to learn is that Nebraska is full of corn and wheat. In all directions, all I could see were miles and miles of farmland, stalks waving in the wind like a sorry excuse for an ocean. Interstate 80 was surrounded, crops creeping onto the shoulders of the road, refusing to adhere to man-made perimeters. The stalks grew high above my SUV, making it so I could see nothing beyond the confines of my weedy, corny prison. I'd been driving for about 2 hours since the gas station when I saw it, a break in the crops to my left. Gus was right. I couldn't miss it. The dirt road stood out like a beacon, a sudden relief from my engulfment. I didn't feel any hesitation to take the path. In fact, I was excited that I had actually stumbled across it. As I made the turn, I could almost feel the stories, the experiences of the people who had made this turn before me. Every local has their spots. In every big city, every small town, every single person has a place that is special to them. A coffee shop, a hiking trail, a park. Somewhere they have left pieces of themselves. I want to leave pieces of myself everywhere. The dirt road cut through the fields, heading north. Far ahead of me, I could see a small range of peaks and hills. Nothing compared to California's mountain ranges, but at least it wasn't flat, like everywhere else is out here. After driving through more and more miles of farmland, eventually I started to ascend. The road curved to my right at the base of the closest peak, turned from dirt into old, battered pavement, and I began a twisty-turny ride up and up. As I got higher up the peak, I could see what Gus was talking about. The views were incredible. Plots of farmland, a quilt that covered the earth in greens and tans and yellows. I lit another cigarette and slowly continued my drive. I stopped at a couple of lookouts, just random turnoffs on the side of the road, taking in my surroundings. You can find beauty in anything if you try, even Nebraskan wheat fields. I felt like a local. The road was nothing special, similar to most mountain roads I've taken before. Nothing stood out really, besides some empty bottles and beer cans in the brush. I didn't see a single other person for the entirety of my drive, which I enjoyed. It was just me and the woods and the road. Then I entered the tunnel. I didn't think anything of it. Plenty of mountain roads cut through portions of the mountain itself, causing you to drive through a manufactured hole in the rock. I used to play a game as a kid where I'd hold my breath until we made it through to the other side. I'm glad I didn't try to hold my breath this time. I immediately noticed the tunnel was long. I couldn't see any light coming from the other end. The dirty orange bulbs hanging from the ceiling every 10 feet or so didn't make much of a difference in the pitch black. I drove for about 30 minutes, thinking to myself that this may be the longest tunnel I've ever driven through. Then the lights started diminishing. They began popping up every 30 feet, then every 50 feet, then every 100 feet, then there were none. I drove through the darkness for another 45 minutes, my headlights leading the way. I've been in the tunnel for over an hour now. It was close to 8 p.m. and I didn't see any signs of the exit. I decided to turn around. I didn't like being swallowed by darkness. The rock walls were closing in on me, reigniting my claustrophobic fears that consumed me as a child. I drove for an hour or so back the direction I came. The lights should have started coming back by now, but they didn't. No orange bulbs. I drove for another hour, and another. Almost 3 hours driving back the way I came, and I never made it back to the tunnel's entrance. I was never greeted by the warm glow of the dim bulbs. Maybe the lights had gone out? But even then, I should have been out of the tunnel hours ago by now. I started getting worried. I was confused. I had turned around, hadn't I? I remember taking that 3-point U-turn in the narrow tunnel. I'd been worried my SUV wouldn't even be able to make the turn and was relieved when it had. I grabbed my phone, but of course, no service. And who would I even call? My angry mother who would just chew me out for listening to a strange man at a gas station in the first place? I have no friends back home. I'm more inclined to spend my time alone. No relationships, besides an ex who wants me dead. I've only had myself for as long as I can remember. I left on this trip without telling anyone I was leaving, let alone where I'd be. Would anyone even notice I was lost? My mind was racing, looking for a solution as I kept driving. Luckily, my car is good on gas. I was still at a half a tank. I just kept going. What else was I supposed to do? After another 2 hours, I was desperate. My gas wouldn't last forever. It was dwindling fast, and when my car gave out, I wouldn't be able to charge my phone either. My only distraction for the void enveloping me was my downloaded Spotify playlists. I needed that to survive. I needed that so I didn't go crazy in here. Out of nowhere, while I was fiddling with my music, I saw a beacon of hope. One single bar. It popped up for a split second. I slammed on my brakes and reversed until I got to the sweet spot. At this point, I didn't care if my mother screamed at me so loud it damaged my phone's speaker. I needed to tell someone what was happening to me. I hovered over her contact for a few seconds before I sighed and clicked call. It didn't even ring, just a horrific beeping that signified no service. I rested my forehead on the steering wheel, tears starting to well. I wasn't going to get stuck out here. I couldn't. My brain wouldn't even consider that an option. I grabbed my phone and got out of the car. An eerie whistling from the wind blowing through the tunnel filled my ears. I climbed on top of my car. Maybe if I stood up here, I could get a call out. It didn't work. The same disheartening beeping rang out over and over, and I groaned. I could feel the anxiety building, my heart pounding against my chest. Then I heard something. It was faint at first, like someone trying to stifle a cough. I thought I imagined it. I stood there, listening. Then it happened again, louder. It sounded like a playful shout, like maybe a teenager exploring the tunnel, hooting and hollering with their friends. This is what my mind latched onto. Another sign of life meant I could get out of here. I shouted back, "Hey!" It echoed, bouncing off the cold rock walls, repeating over and over. Then it was uncannily quiet. The wind's whistling stopped and everything went still. All I could hear were my own panicked breaths. Then, footsteps. Hundreds of them. Running, thumping footsteps, coming from both directions. It shook the ground and made my car wobble. Pebbles tumbled off the walls. I've never felt so weak, so exposed. I damn near broke a bone jumping off of the roof of my car and stumbling into my driver's seat at what felt like the speed of light. I slammed the car door and locked it. I laid in my seat all the way back and pressed myself against it, wanting so badly to dissolve, to disappear. My car stopped swaying. The quiet returned. I laid there for what must have been an hour, maybe more. Tears caked my face and I couldn't stop shaking. I tried every breathing exercise my therapist had taught me. Nothing could calm me. What the actual fuck was that? I haven't moved. I'm still laying in my driver's seat, typing this. It's almost 4 a.m. I've been in this tunnel for almost 10 hours. I thought that maybe if I sat down and wrote out everything that's happened so far, it would help me understand. I still don't understand, but it is helping me to settle down. It's grounding me in my reality. Can someone please figure out where I am? Can someone tell me what's happening? How does the tunnel suddenly extend by miles? Did Gus know about this? Is that why he sent me here? I'm paranoid. What do I do from here? I don't want to get out of my car again. What if they find me? Why did they stop running to me? Did I imagine it in my hungry, exhausted state? I don't think continuing to drive is a good option. But it's really the only option. Eventually my gas is going to run out. Eventually my phone is going to die for good. I will starve or die of dehydration. I'm conserving the little food and drink I have as much as I can. I'm freaking out. I'm so thankful I bought these cigarettes. If anyone has any idea how I can get out of this, please tell me. I'll try anything. If anything else happens in here, I'll keep you updated. I pray to God this posts.